What if one of the most famous lines ever written is only half true? What if Shakespeare was describing what life looks like when you reach the end and realize you never truly lived? What if the answer isn't despair, but courage, not regret, but adventure, not signifying nothing, but signifying exactly what you choose to create? Today, I want to talk about a line from Macbeth that has haunted people for centuries and why I think the rebel pirate has a different answer. Near the end of his life, Macbeth says, "Life is but a walking shadow, a poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage, and then is heard no more. It is a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing." Think about that. Macbeth isn't speaking from possibility. He's speaking from regret. He's looking backwards. He's looking at a life spent chasing power, a life spent betraying himself, a life spent becoming someone he never wanted to become. And from that place, life looks meaningless. But what if that's not life? What if that's simply what life looks like when you abandon yourself? What if the problem isn't existence? What if the problem is forgetting who you are? Because every time I have felt lost, every time I have felt disconnected, every time I have felt trapped, it wasn't because life had no meaning. It was because I had drifted away from my own. The rebel pirate doesn't live according to someone else's map. The rebel pirate doesn't ask permission to be himself. The rebel pirate hears the call of his heart and follows it. Not because it's easy, not because it's safe, not because it guarantees success, but because authenticity is worth more than comfort. Freedom is worth more than approval, and truth is worth more than security. The rebel pirate understands something important. The greatest prison isn't bars, it's living someone else's life. Live dangerously. There is a quote I love. Live dangerously. Choose the path that makes your heart come alive, not the respectable path, not the comfortable path, not the path that earns the most approval, the path that rings the bell inside your soul. Because one day you'll reach the end, and when you look backwards, you won't care how safe you played it. You'll care whether you truly lived. So I started playing with this Macbeth line, not because Shakespeare was wrong, but because maybe he was showing us a warning. Maybe he was showing us what happens when we forget ourselves. And I wondered, what would the rebel pirate say? Maybe he would say, "Life is a story told by a creator, full of courage and wonder, signifying the meaning we choose to give it." Or maybe, "Life is a grand adventure, told by rebel pirates, dreamers, and builders, full of storms and treasure, signifying whatever we are bold enough to create." Or perhaps, "Life is a story told by consciousness itself, full of possibility and imagination, signifying the meaning we persistently assume and the reality we courageously create." I love all those, but one keeps coming back to me. Which ones come back to you? Which one speaks to you? This is the one that comes back to me. Life is a story told by a creator, full of challenge and opportunity, signifying the meaning we choose to give it. That puts the responsibility back where it belongs, not on fate, not on luck, not on circumstances, on us, on our choices, on our willingness to take the wheel. And here's one for you visual people. Life is a blank canvas. The question isn't whether the painting matters. The question is, what are you painting? And for our auditory people, life is a song. The question isn't whether music has meaning. The question is, what melody are you creating? What story are you telling yourself every day? Kinesthetic people, life is an adventure trail, a mountain path, a wild ocean crossing. You don't understand it by studying the map. You understand it by taking the next step, feeling the wind, touching the earth, living the experience. And neuroscience gives us a fascinating clue. Your brain is constantly assigning meaning. It isn't discovering meaning, it's creating meaning. The stories you repeat become the neural pathways. The emotions you rehearse becomes familiar states. The identity you practice becomes the person you experience yourself to be. In other words, you are not merely observing the story, you are helping write it every day, every thought, every choice, every action. This is what I believe. We are not here to shrink. We are not here to sleepwalk. We are not here to live somebody else's dream. We are here to remember who we are, to remember our courage, to remember our creativity, to remember our freedom, to remember our power, and to remember the rebel pirate within. Macbeth looked back and saw a tale told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. The rebel pirate looks forward and says, life is not happening to me. Life is being created through me. Or maybe even simpler, the coward sees sound and fury. The creator sees raw material. And my favorite, take the wheel, rebel pirate. The story is yours to write. Because one day we'll all reach the final chapter. And when that day comes, I don't want to wonder what might have been. I want to smile, look back at the adventure and say, that was a story worth telling. Love and peace, my friends. I wish you wisdom and understanding. Enjoy this day.